Morning. I'm Emily McDonald, NCOA's Director of Corporate Partnerships and Engagement, and I'm proud to introduce Dr. Jules Benson, Vice President of Pet Health and Chief Veterinary Officer at Nationwide. Thank you. Dr. Benson is a strategic industry leader focused on the ways technology and data can transform the veterinary profession and the lives of animals. A 2004 graduate of the University of Liverpool's School of Veterinary Medicine, Dr. Benson is a member of the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons and practiced clinically in the Philadelphia area before transitioning to roles within the animal health industry. In addition to leading the veterinary team at Nationwide, Dr. Benson currently chairs the Veterinary Relations Committee for the North American Pet Health Insurance Association. He also serves on the Veterinary Innovation Council Board and the Mentor Vet Advisory Board. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Dr. Benson. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Perfect. Well, good morning, everybody. Let me find my clicker and get myself oriented. Let me a second. There we go. Okay. So, nothing like having my name on a big screen. I am not from the US, as you may have gathered. I am a little east of Jersey. I was on a live local TV segment once, and the anchor asked me, "Oh, I love your accent. Where are you from?" And I said, just quickly and deadpan, "New Jersey." She said, "Really?" And I said, "No. Like this is." But the silly accent does help over here. It makes us sound smarter, apparently. I have been a clinical veterinarian in the Philadelphia area. I was there for about 7 or 8 years. Anyone from Philly? Yeah. All right. Appreciate you guys. As a veterinarian, seeing older adults with pets, there were a few different types of pet owner that kind of stood out to me as I was thinking about this. So I think we're all familiar, obviously, with the empty nesters and the introduction of the pet as the new child. I think we're seeing an evolution of that to the younger, older adults of the pet becoming the preferred child. We were just talking outside, and everyone was talking about sitting around at dinner, and many of them had children, but they were showing each other pictures of their pets. Like this is how much we prefer our pets over our kids sometimes. I think the other more difficult side sometimes is pets really as the sole companionship for some older Americans. And there was a story in practice, an older lady who really wanted a cat, but was scared to get a cat because if something happened to her health-wise, she didn't know what she was going to do with it. So she got an orange cat. I don't know if any of you are orange cat people. Orange cats are insane. Like we have one at home. I'll show you in a second. But orange cats are insane, and she was going to have this orange cat, and she called it Clive. And she actually asked me if I would take Clive if something happened to her. And this was really important to her that something would happen. So fortunately, she lived long past my time at the practice, but this was really important to her to know that she could provide for this pet. And this pet was really important to her as she moved forwards. The last category I think is interesting to talk about is the tough guy. So I say guy because it's usually a guy, but it's the usually older male who is like, I don't want a new pet. Or the classic one is the guy who hates cats. Any families who the male figure said they hated cats, and then suddenly, yeah, we see some in the back. Suddenly the cat is all over them, and they are now the cat person. And the other time is, well, if something happens to the dog, we're not going to do anything about it. And then obviously when something happens to the dog, they are all over that. And what can we do? And how much do we have to spend, et cetera? My role at Nationwide, I am the VP of Pet Health and the Chief Veterinary Officer. A core part of what my team does, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is making care more affordable and accessible for pet families, and also using data to try and improve the lives of pets, pet families, and veterinary healthcare teams. So I'm going to try a little experiment. So please raise your hands if you have a pet. Please keep your hand raised if you can find a photo of your pet within 5 or 10 seconds on your phone. Please take out your phones and find a picture of your pet and show it to one of your neighbors. See, do we see what happened? Apart from losing control of the room. All right. This was a terrible idea. So I will share as well. So what was that we just experienced? What was that? What was that frisson of excitement, of emotion? It's the human-animal bond. So as we talk about, the relationship that we have with our pets, we've talked for a long time, and often from a commercial kind of side of it, the humanization of pets. And obviously within veterinary medicine, animal health, we talk about that a lot as being a lot of the driver for, the growth in revenue and pet health and everything else. But the humanization of pets really does come down to what is that bond that we have with our pets. So I was reading some studies the other day, because that's what I do, apparently. Even as far back as 1929, somebody put a blood pressure monitor on a dog and then measured the blood pressure while it was being pet by their owner, and the blood pressure went down. So starting really about 20 or 30 years ago, we started to see a really big increase in the amount of science research around the bond that pets have with people and vice versa. So the human-animal bond, it's really important to point out, is a bidirectional bond. This is something that happens in both directions. As we talk about the physiological effects, oxytocin, so they're often called the love hormone or the bonding hormone. When we sit with our pets and pet them, oxytocin goes up in both us and our pets, as does endorphin, pain relief, stress relief, as does dopamine, pleasure, and actually in humans, cortisol goes down. So as we sit with our pets, and we'll talk more about this in a little bit about stress specifically, but the body of work is only increasing. And as we talk about the evolution, the human-animal bond, one of the things that we've seen is how important this becomes to make this part of your mission, especially for us as Nationwide at the Pet Health Insurance Division. One of the more recent evolutions of the human-animal bond is making that central to your mission. So the human-animal bond certified company is something that is run by the Human-Animal Bond Research Institute. It's actually based just here in DC. And it really is meant to recognize organizations who are making the human-animal bond core to their purpose. So every Nationwide Pet Associate goes through human-animal bond training. They are given information, some of what we just talked about the science of the human-animal bond, how important it is, and how we can make sure that we're nurturing that in our work. One of the things that as a human-animal bond certified company is that we sponsor research through the Human-Animal Bond Research Institute. I'm just going to call it HABRI from now on because it's a mouthful. So through HABRI, we conduct research. One of them was the Pet-Friendly Workplace Effectiveness Study. So, for example, engagement in the workplace, in a pet-friendly workplace, and there's a bunch of criteria about what a pet-friendly workplace is, but it's 91% in pet-friendly workplaces versus 65% in non-pet-friendly workplaces. Recommendation of whether you would work in an organization, 88% for pet-friendly versus 51%. And I love this one, the relationship you have with your supervisor. 52%, I know, right? 52% said they had a better relationship with their supervisor in pet-friendly companies versus 14%. 14%. So I thought 52% was low, but apparently 14%. People really don't like their bosses sometimes. So let's talk about aging Americans and pets. So I thought I'd share some pictures of modest Americans with their pets. I'm sure, I think I'm somewhere between Danny Trejo and Robert Downey Jr. So we have a Chihuahua at home, but we also have cats that are just everywhere. I see top left there, Dr. Biden and Willow, probably a lot happier since Commander left the White House, if reports are to be believed. So famous aging Americans with pets. They're just like us, just more attractive and richer and more talented. So let's talk about specifically how pets are improving the well-being of aging Americans. So we've talked a lot about stress as a risk factor, right? So all the things that we're recommended to do, whether it's exercising better, sleeping better, so many of these things are around decreasing our stress. And stress as a risk factor for disease, of course. So pets can actually act as a buffer to acute stress and diminish our reaction to stress. So of a study of 120 married couples, so we're already talking about stress, 120 married couples, they were found to have lower heart rate and lower resting blood pressure. And then when they were asked to do a mental arithmetic test, talk about stress. I used to be good at mental arithmetic, and I don't know where it's gone. I think my iPhone has replaced any ability I had to times two simple numbers. So during a mental arithmetic test, those levels returned to normal baseline quicker in couples that had pets than didn't. So it's not just our overall